You know, a lot of people always ask me about being an on-location photographer. Well, let's break it down. Hey, what's up everybody? It is your boy Brennan, and I just want to say thank you again for all your love and support to the channel. It means a lot to me. Continue to comment, continue to lock in, continue to subscribe, as all your information, all your feedback and everything helps us to go, for me to support this channel and bring it to fruition. So today I'm just going to talk to you. Now this is unscripted. This is just going off of me being a professional photographer and over a decade of experience. All right. So I want to talk to you guys today about what it means to be an on-location photographer. Now this is my opinion, of course, and you guys can take it how you want. But I'm going to try to help you guys out about what it actually means to me also. About photography, nothing is going to work if you don't understand your equipment. So let's just start there. To be a photographer, you have to understand your equipment. It has to come natural. It has to come easy to you. Your workflow, everything about your camera, from the skeleton of it to the internal workings of it to the menu system, everything, you need to know your equipment like the back of your hand. And I can't express that enough, because a lot of people continue to upgrade to new cameras, continue to go through cameras like crazy, and they don't really know the workings of their camera. You put them in a situation where it's uncontrolled and they're fondling and they're going through things because they're really not used to it, or they haven't taken the time to actually get to know their equipment. I can't express that enough. There's been so many nights where I've just set up, playing with my camera, going through menu systems, going through everything until it was easy to where everything was, to where I had everything down pat, every custom button, everything in the menu system, so that way when I needed something or needed to get to something really quick, I knew exactly where it was. Which is also a reason why I really don't do two systems. I don't really shoot Canon, of course, anymore, and I don't have any other brands. I normally just stick to one brand. That way that if I'm doing something, it comes easy, and I know how to get to that menu system on every camera that I have, and I know all these things at the back of my hand. I don't have time to have a Sony and have a Canon and be like, okay, this is over here, okay, but then I have to go back over here and be like, okay, where does this go? So you got to be really careful of that. But again, what it means to be an on-location photographer, knowing your equipment, I couldn't express that enough, because there's so many times that we are put into situations, especially being on location, to where you need to learn how to adjust on the fly. You need to know how to adjust quickly. And you can't do that without knowing your equipment. It's a little bit different from being in a studio. In the studio, you kind of have your time. You're not really being rushed. It's a controlled environment, and we're going to come back to that shortly. But you got a little bit more time. But on location, you're on the weather's time, you're on the climate's time, you're on your client's time, like a lot of different things that comes into factor with that. So you definitely want to make sure you know your equipment before you step out there, and know it well. You know, not just knowing it and breezing over it and then taking it out there. You know, actually get to know your equipment. On location photographer should be able to shoot anywhere, anytime, any day. All right, to be able to go anywhere, take my camera, take my flash, set up anywhere, it don't matter, any time of day, and just shoot and get incredible balanced images. That's what's important. That's what it means to me. But the second thing about being an on-location photographer is knowing your environment. This is where being a studio photographer and being an on-location photographer kind of differs. In a studio, you're in a controlled environment. Nothing changes. I can literally go out there and set my lights, turn my switch on, and take pictures, because the environment doesn't change. You know, the only thing that really changes in the studio is your imagination or your creativity or how you want to take the shot. You know, so sometimes you might need to lower the power, you might need to up the power if you need a backlight on the backdrop, if you need a hair light, you know, your main light, you might need to go up some more. Maybe you want to switch modifiers and things like that. But if you left your studio the same setup all the time, you would rarely have to change anything. Being an on-location photographer is totally different. It really challenges you as a photographer. Not to say that as a studio photographer, I'm not challenged. But being out on location in an uncontrolled environment, to where you are on the time of the weather, the sun, everything is uncontrolled. You don't know what you're going to get depending on when you shoot. Rain, sleet, snow, when the sun is at high noon, when it's really cloudy, when it's pitch black outside. As a photographer and as an on-location photographer, you have to train yourself if this was what you love and if this is something that you are very, very passionate about. You train yourself in all environments. It don't really matter, because this is what's going to make you a better photographer. And that's why on-location photographers really have an idea of their equipment and how to shoot outside and shoot anywhere, because the repetition of being outside and being in different type of environments, creating different type of looks and shots outside really challenges you. It's uncontrolled. So knowing your environment is really important. When the sun is really high, how do you take the shots? ND filters. I need to do this. I need to speed my shutter speed up. I need a 6-stop. I need a 10-stop ND filter. If you're doing a sunrise shoot, the sun is not up yet, but I got a nice reddish orangish horizon. How do I want to get that shot? I need to slow my shutter speed down. I want to bring all the colors in. A lot of different things. When it's cloudy outside, there's no sun. It's all cloud coverage. It's gonna be dark, gloomy, gray, ugly. What do you need your light to do? You can't be too powerful, because it's gonna be too powerful. There's no sun outside. It's gonna overpower. You're gonna have to slow it down. You're gonna have to lower the power. You're gonna have to, find a way to set your model up. If it's gloomy outside, you're gonna probably need 2 light setup, because you can't use the sun as a rim light. If it's dark outside, you really know you're going to need things. You're going to need light spreads. You're going to need so many other different things. Knowing your environment as an on-location photographer is extremely important, because you need to know how to shoot in different environments. Along with understanding your environment is understanding your ambient, understanding your locations. Those are different versus shooting in a studio. Out on location, depending on where you shoot, you need to understand those locations that you're shooting at. It's extremely important as an on-location photographer, because in the back of your mind, you should be asking yourself, is this a good location for the type of shoot that I'm doing? Is this location set up for this type of shoot? I'm gonna give you a prime example. If my model has a long, beautiful dress, and I want to do something extremely nice, elegant, sexy, I'm not going to shoot my model in the alley. I'm not going to shoot my model in a location that is not going to add to the picture. It's not going to compensate. That's not going to push and elevate that picture. I'm going to shoot her also in a location that's going to elevate that image. This is going to help me tell the story. As an on-location photographer, real on-location photographers understand that. These are the things you need to understand. These are the things that you need to know in order to get that picture, to capture that image, and to drive that look home, drive that story home to your audience, captivate your audience. Everything goes together. This is important for an on-location photographer, because guess what? Studio photographers really don't have that challenge. You create everything in the studio. You create the backdrop, you create the image, you create the lighting, you create the canvas that you want to shoot on. When you're outside, you're using the outside as your canvas. You're using everything as your backdrop to create that image. In the studio, you create the backdrop. And outside, you're borrowing the backdrop from the ambient, from the location. As an on-location photographer, that's extremely important. That's precedent, because in order to get that image, you have to drive home that vision. And part of getting that vision is picking the right locations and picking the right thing for your theme. If you're doing a certain theme, your location should match your theme in order to drive that image home. Now, one of the big things for on-location photographers that a lot of photographers out there still struggle with is posing. Posing out on location is a little bit different than posing in a studio. When you're in the studio, you create the poses, you create the backdrops, you create the thing, you create all that stuff in a studio. It's there, it's easy, it's controlled. You know, you're in the studio, do your thing. Out on location, if I'm going for a theme, I have to pose my model to where her poses go with the theme. What she's wearing goes with the location. With the location goes the poses, or however you want to put that in you know, in your trifecta. What she's wearing drives the poses. The location drives the poses also. All these things are connected. This is my triangle as a on-location photographer. You got wardrobe, poses, location, because wardrobe drives both of these. Wardrobe, location, poses. It drives both of them. That's your triangle. When you understand that triangle as an on-location photographer, it will really help you. This is my triangle. You will probably see this triangle nowhere on the internet. Nobody came up with it. I came up with it. That's me. I've seen too many times where I've seen models who have these, again, we're going to talk about long, elegant dresses. I've seen too many times where somebody will have a long, elegant dress on, but they're not posing the model in pertaining to what she has on. If your model's wearing a long, elegant dress, you should be posing your model long and elegantly. Does that make sense? If your model is she street, you know, if your model is street, you know, and she wants to do something sexy, you should be posing your model in a more street fashion way, but sexy. Posing on location is different than posing in a studio. Posing on location is by far much harder, because a lot of times when you get a model out there and you're saying, okay, go. Models are gonna give you probably about 30 seconds to like 3 minutes of posing, and guess what? After that, you're done. You are the creative director. It is on you to pose your models. You are the one that should be posing your models. Your model is a canvas. She can't see things that's in the back of her. She can't see things on the side of her. She doesn't see what you see. You need to take more ownership, more responsibility for your photo shoots, because you drive that look home. It's up to you to drive that look home. Last but not least, and knowing how to use your atmosphere. Extremely important. A good on-location photographer, I can take a model in a location, but I also have a sixth sense. It's like a sixth sense for a photographer. I can look around that location and be like, okay, poses will look good there. I can, like, say for instance, if I'm shooting a model in the back of an alley, I can be like, okay, yeah, you know what? That trash can is gonna make for a good pose. That fence is gonna make for a good pose. That tire right there will probably make for a good pose. And I'm just looking like, what can I use and what can help me create some good images? That chair, that. Learn how to use your environment to create the poses. These are things that are helpful, that's going to help you get that image and drive those images home. Not only that, it's going to help you elevate that picture, and it's going to help you tell the story. Don't just go there and think that's it. Look around. Use that. Create poses out of that. That's what makes you an incredible on-location photographer. I love being outside. I love looking around. I want you guys to think about that next time you go on location and you do your photo shoots. This is your boy Brandon signing off, and I will see you in the next video. I holla. Peace.